What's up, Quackheads? Will the Pill here. I just want to take a hot minute to tell you guys about this week's sponsor. It's Podcorn, like popcorn, but with pod. Podcorn is the best. I'd say it's like the future of like podcasting, advertising. So it connects podcasters like me and John to advertisers. They basically, people want to get their word out on podcasts. So there's no middlemen. Podcorn just connects us. It's easy. There's no contracts, and we love it. So talk murder to me. Also on the TacoCast network, Nicole from there was like, hey, Will, sign up for Podcorn. It's easy. Like, we're getting paid already. So I was like, well, we don't have, we're new. I don't think we're going to get anyone. But I went on there, signed up. Boom. Podcorn itself sponsored us. So that's how easy it is. It's so easy, so cool. The dashboard connects you. You can see what jobs you have going on for this month, all your slots. Connecting the podcaster to advertising. They give us workrooms. It's so easy. We love it. So this week's episode is sponsored by Podcorn.
I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who acts like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
any number of diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have you to take my word for it. I've got the answer right.
All right, so what's up, Quackheads? Welcome back to part 2 of Trepanation. I know you guys have been eagerly waiting. You've been sitting on the edge of your seat. You've been waiting to understand what the F part 2, the conspiracy, could even be about. Okay, how is there a conspiracy about putting a hole in your gosh darn head?
Because aliens, man.
Well, before we get into that, we are looking at a beer for this week, and it is something special. You don't like it?
I haven't tasted it, but the smell.
Oh, man, that's actually good. It's weird. It's way different.
Not
Aged
for me.
in bourbon barrels. Okay, let me let Steven from Greens tell you about this bad boy.
Ugh.
So it goes by a couple different names. It's either Schmaltz or Coney Island, depending on who you're talking to. But so this is a beer called Barrel Aged Human Blockhead. So this beer is actually from 2012. So it's got 8 years on it. It's basically a bourbon barrel aged Imperial American Bock, and like a lot of Schmaltz or Hebrew Coney Island beers, very hard to define. It's a big, aggressive beer, very complex, a lot going on, big and boozy. Should be drinking very well right now. This brewery was started by just one really talented Jewish guy from the Bronx, and he makes just out of this world insane, sort of hard to categorize strong beers.
So you said this is aged in the barrels?
It's aged in the barrels. Yeah, it's looks like they used Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels probably back in 2012. Buffalo Trace was much easier to come by, and it's Buffalo Trace like Blanton's is very hard to get nowadays. So and these guys would have been these guys would have been doing it sort of earlier than some other people have, and so yeah, when you age a beer in a barrel, either bourbon, whiskey, rum, even red wine, it sort of imparts some of those qualities into the beer. So yep.
And then the front, it got a guy, because it was called Human Blockhead, and got a guy hammering nails into his face, I guess kind of like a Coney Island
Freak show.
Freak show, there you go. Yeah, so that's why it'll work good for the Trepanation episode. Okay, thank you, Steven. So that was awesome. So as you heard from Steven, this is the Coney Island Human Blockhead. So like he said, the label here has a dude like the Freak Show from Coney Island. Have you ever been to Coney Island?
No, I was about to ask you if
That's
you
where
have.
they eat the hot dogs. Actually,
yeah.
I have been there.
That's
I went in the off season, so it was kind of
I've never been there.
sad.
That's in Jersey.
So
Right.
it's technically, I guess, a borough of New York, but it's kind of like the carnival-y kind of area. We
Yeah.
went during the winter. Actually, I went my first trip.
Is it kind of like?
I went on my
shitty?
first trip to So I went on my first trip to I think in the winter it definitely is, because like none of the rides or anything are going. It's kind of like like you've seen the Jersey Shore, right? You know when they're on the boardwalk and they got all the
Yeah.
rides and shit like that? It's kind of like that.
I think that show Mr. Robot, I think they were on Coney
Oh,
Island.
yeah. And then I think Boardwalk Empire.
I haven't seen that one.
I think, actually, I could be wrong on that, though. I could be completely
I don't know
off.
about that one.
But anyway, yeah. So I was there. Little side note from me. In college, I went with a group of missionaries from the church. I wouldn't say like missionaries. It was like a mission trip with a bunch of college kids. So it was, some hot girls going. I was like, this is a free trip to, only had to pay like a little bit of money to go ride with these people to New York. I'd never been. And I was like big kid and little kid in the big city, like looking around like, whoa, buildings are so big. It was my first time. And so we got assigned all different parts in all the boroughs, and Coney Island was the one I was at, and it was this homeless
And
shelter.
what did y'all do there?
We just went and like handed out packages to like homeless people in Central
okay,
Park.
cool.
And then in Coney Island, they had like a center. And so we would like serve like soup and give out blankets and shit like that. But like we wandered around and it was crazy. I saw stuff like this. There was actually one, it was called Hit the Freak or Catch the Freak or something. You're supposed to throw there was someone dressed up like a freak and you were supposed to throw shit at him. It's like, man, this is great. It's kind of, probably they can't do that anymore. I would imagine that's not kosher. But anyway, so this was, like you said, on Coney Island. So the picture on the label has a guy putting nails into his head, which, is awfully similar to what we're going to talk about here. Drilling holes in your head. Trepanation Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2.
And I want to say right quick, dude, you do a phenomenal job picking these beers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't. So basically, I wish I could take credit for it. I just roll up to Greens. I don't even plan ahead. And Steven is always there, and I just like wander around until he's there, and I'm like, hey man, I got nothing. Can you help me with this shit? I'd like to take credit for it, but dude, he's just like, oh, what are your episodes? He's like, okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Have a nice day. And I'm like, can you want to say a little something about the beers? He's like, oh sure, let's go over here. And he doesn't even have to look it up. He just says it from memory. All that shit he does is just
That's
like I walk in
insane,
and he
dude.
does that, and I'm out of there in less than like 20 minutes, and all that's just right out of his head. Like, dude's an expert. It's awesome. Okay, so this beer actually is tasty. I don't think John likes it. It's aged in bourbon. It's dark, but it's
What? How long is it aged for? Did he say?
yeah, a long ass time. I think he said, months. Like, what did he say? 8 months.
I mean, it's
or-
good because it's different, and I've never had it.
Oh, it's definitely different.
It's not like some shit you'd buy at the Harris Teeter, but
it ain't Pabst Blue Ribbon, which did win a blue ribbon at the fair, the Columbian Expo World Fair.
Yeah, which they funded.
That they funded the contest. That's
don't know,
awesome.
probably.
I don't know. Well, no, that's the World's Fair in Chicago. That's
I
where it
didn't
won
know
the
that.
blue ribbon.
Oh.
Okay, so we're welcoming in my lovely and talented wife. Now, wife, do a sexy voice.
I don't have a sexy voice.
Ooh, that was so sexy. All right, so this is Heather, the quack. Heather, the pill. Heather,
Excuse me?
Mrs. the
Mrs.
Pill.
Pill.
Mrs. Pill, coming at you here. Now, Mrs. Pill, now tell me, and I've probably been talking about this and driving you crazy all week, what you think the conspiracy behind Trepanation is.
That you're an idiot? I don't
Okay,
know.
good. She wasn't listening. I've told her 5 times, and all 5 times. As John and I were just talking about before you came in here and graced us with your presence, there's a gentleman named Bart Hughes who actually went to medical school at the University of Amsterdam, but he wasn't given a degree because of marijuana. His advocacy of marijuana, which is, I would think, in Amsterdam was probably tough to do. But anyway, this was a while ago, 1960s, which you would think, I don't really know what the difference is.
Yeah, that was legal there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
I
still,
think,
I
right?
think it's been legal. Yeah. I mean, they're one of the, on our, if you listen to our CBD episode, Amsterdam actually has obviously they're very forward on all their drug laws, but they have all these different blends of CBD and THC that people use for different conditions. So I'm very interested that I think it must have been more to it than that. And we'll get into why.
Yeah. They were looking for a reason.
Okay, so he lived, anyway, Bart Hughes, father of modern trepanation. So he's lived from 1934 to 2004, RIP. Mr.
2004,
Hughes.
wow.
Yeah, he's a pretty old fella. I'm going to break this down for you. There is...
Okay, I want to see the dance. You're breaking it down.
People evolved. Okay, he wrote this scroll. This is a scroll, people.
Who
This
writes
is not a book.
scroll?
Bart! All right, not Dr. Bart. Okay. He called it the mechanism of blood-brain volume. But it's all one word. Blood-brain volume.
No, that's brain blood volume.
Oh, excuse me.
Brain blood.
I'm less dyslexic. Brain blood volume, excuse me. BBV. So it's a scroll. But anyway, I don't want to bore you with this scroll. Let me just break it down in a way a conspiracy would break it down. Okay, so people evolved from monkeys. Let's just say that everyone agrees with that. Now, if people evolved from monkeys, we were on all fours, right, at some point in our lives, walking around on all fours. Eventually, we went upright. So what does that do? What does gravity do to your brain? It changes the pressure of your brain. So if you're standing up, you're going to get more pressure on different parts of your brain. So his theory, theory, what am I talking about? That's bullshit. Fact is that when the brain gets mushed in a different way from gravity, different parts of your brain are going to be inhibited and different parts are going to be given the space to breathe. Hence,
so what's your excuse?
Being able to talk, being able to talk and different reasoning skills are on parts of the brain that are near the top. So therefore, that's why that developed more when we stood up.
I don't know, because it's your head is in the same position.
Stick with me here.
Oh yeah, you're on all fours, but your head is still in the same position. So
I was
you
thinking
stand
the
up,
same
your head
thing.
is in the same position.
It's higher off the ground.
Well, what does that matter?
But no, if you're walking on all fours, you're going to lean your head forward more.
But you got to see in front of you.
Listen, okay, Bart. This is Bart. Bart wrote a scroll. There's a scroll. When did you write a scroll? All right. So.
Well played, Bart.
So
Is Bart's dad Homer? I just have to ask.
Oh yeah, no. Homer Hughes then gave birth to Bart Hughes and
Sister Lisa.
What is it always?
Marge.
That Bart would always say, "Eat my shorts."
Eat
That's
my
what he said.
shorts.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts.
Here's how it works, according to Bart. Okay, so there is too much pressure on your brain. Okay, it's inhibiting us. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to release the pressure. What's that going to do? Okay, it's going to increase cerebral blood flow and cerebral blood volume. So you're going to get more blood flow, more oxygen to your brain, right? Why would this do anything? Well, why are kids so damn smart?
Wait, today's kids?
Why are babies geniuses? You saw the movie, Baby Geniuses? You saw the movie?
Yeah.
Baby Geniuses is a movie where babies are geniuses. And Bart Hughes said, well, if babies are geniuses and they have a hole in their head, because when kids are
palate,
yes,
like
the
soft.
soft palate, there's a hole in a baby's head. And so before
they have to grow.
Before the skull fuses, it's open, and therefore they're getting more brain blood volume, and they're smarter and they're more adaptable. And
are they smarter, or they're just more imaginative?
listen,
acquire,
okay,
like,
quit
any
poking holes
language.
in this theory and start poking holes in your brain, brother.
No, they're going to
They
seriously.
haven't been conditioned by society.
You need to get woke.
All right, I'm getting woke.
Okay.
Where's the drill?
Let me just explain his theory of evolution, air quotes. So, the adoption of an upright stance, like I said earlier, brought about certain benefits to human, but it caused the flow of blood through the head to be limited by gravity, thus reducing the range of human consciousness. Certain parts of the brain ceased or reduced their functions, while others, particularly those parts relating to speech and reasoning, became emphasized in compensation. This is from his book, Drilling a Hole in Your Head.
Wow, what a great
The
title.
only way to fix this is by jumping from a hot bath to a cold bath, which is fun. If you've never done that, you remember when you were a kid, there's a hot tub and like it's winter and you go jump in the pool.
Yeah.
I've never done that in the winter, but
I'd literally do that all the time.
Every time.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime there's a cold pool and a hot tub, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for being on board with this. He said, or you can use psychedelic drugs, obvi, or you can put a hole in your head. So Bart, he did it to himself. Couldn't get anyone to do it for him.
Why in the forehead, though?
I know.
Listen, okay, this is where he did it. He called it The Happening.
He has to
Just
be
a
schizophrenic or
Pretty
something.
badass
like,
name, right? The Happening. It's almost like, wasn't there a movie called The Happening? Or The Conjuring? Or
The Conjuring.
The something. I don't know. Anyway, he had a removal party, and he felt like he was at the mental, he had the same mental capacity as a 14-year-old. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when you were 14, okay? All my mental capacity could be about was studying. Oh, sorry. I was doing a jerk off motion with my hand. You guys can't see that from home.
Wow.
He was then later committed to an insane asylum for observation, but then released. He was released. And so, he said, like I was talking about earlier with baby geniuses, he sought on the higher state of mind like a childhood. So with their babies born with the unsealed skulls, and not until they were an adult that the bony carapace was formed, enclosing the skull.
Yeah, but that's with every body part of a baby. It's not formed. The bones aren't completely formed.
But it's not completely sealed, though. The brain, it is interesting that there is a soft spot. You got to admit.
It's not interesting because they have to grow and their heads are going to get bigger. So
why can't the skull grow at the same rate as the brain?
Because the brain, like I said earlier, is the powerhouse of the body. It consumes 20% of all your energy. So you don't actually know how large it's going to be. So if it was a firm surrounding around the brain, you'd be fucked from the start. You have to make it. So
it would limit how smart someone could be. Right? Is that what you're saying?
No, bigger brains does not mean smarter.
Now, what if they had space to grow?
Huh?
Like if you had a hole in there and there was space for your brain to grow?
Bigger brains.
I don't think there's any reason why if you drill a hole that you have more room. If anything, your brains are going to fall out.
You guys aren't experts.
Why? I guess my name's not Bart, so.
So we got to return our brains to the same conditions as a baby. Okay, so actually, before I move on to his followers, which are awesome in their own right, some of them even better than him, quite honestly, I want to ask you guys what your favorite conspiracies are. Let's start with Heather.
Favorite conspiracy?
Mm-hmm.
My conspiracy theory is, I would have to say, airplanes leaving vapor trails.
Chemtrails.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know about this. What is chemtrails?
Yeah. All right. So do you ever see the airplanes leaving this
that's
long?
Poison?
So no. So they would say that the air ratio or whatever. I don't know how these conspiracy theorists do it, but there should be no trails behind a lot of these airplanes, which there should be because it's the colder air up top. It's mixing with the hot air coming from the engine.
So they're saying it's
why
chemicals?
You see that. They think they're launching these chemicals. It's called chemtrails.
Ooh, I love
it's
that.
a huge thing.
All right, John, favorite conspiracy?
I would say maybe the pyramids because they're so finely cut that even our advanced laser diamond cutting techniques we use today can't even make them that fine of a surface. And how did they build the damn pyramids? And where did they get the damn rocks from? They're in the desert, bro.
Fascinating.
They're in the desert.
It is fascinating.
They're in the desert.
The same way that they hauled shit to make Stonehenge, but Stonehenge is not as impressive as a pyramid.
Fuck
that
no.
shit's
Stonehenge
huge.
is stupid
but
as shit.
There is a lot to be said for.
Because there's more underground, but.
Oh man, the pyramids are way cool.
What were the pyramids used for? A lot
Just
of people
housing one person to die.
No, that is ridiculous.
No, okay. Think about the ego of kings. Okay, you want the biggest house, the biggest place you were buried. Well, let's start it with a small pyramid, and then another pyramid that's a little bit bigger. Oh, then this person has a sphinx. Then this person has a freaking huge pyramid. Well, then I'm gonna have the biggest thing on earth because I'm Tutankhamun. Okay, so I guess I should explain. Heather was asking why this is a conspiracy. Well, the conspiracy is that having a hole in your head like these ancient people did, like we talked about in the last episode, is going to expand your consciousness, okay? It's going to make you have the mental capacity of a nimble-minded young person, but in an adult's body with an adult's brain. So you're going to be smarter. You're going to be faster. It's like you have more RAM in your computer, right? You get that reference?
Yeah, I get it.
You know what RAM is? Random access memory.
RAM, you.
Okay, so he had some followers. Obviously, he wasn't the only person who thought this was true. Thank God. So the most notable ones were Joey, Mellon, and Amanda Fielding.
I've heard of Amanda Fielding before.
Oh, she is amazing.
Joey and Amanda.
So we're going to start with Joey because he's less interesting.
This man looks crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Borehole.
So he made a book. He wrote a book called Borehole. And he said, he basically summed it up. Nowhere. He basically said, this is the story of how I came to drill a hole in my head and get permanently high. So these people were big time users of drugs. Shocker, I know. So basically, they wanted to. So they're like in a league of the people who want to expand their consciousness through mind altering drugs. So you can't get any more high than overdose. Taking a shitload of LSD and stuff like that.
Because I got high.
And so,
is this guy German?
No, he's a fruit. Joey Mellon.
What's up, Quackheads? Will the Pill here to tell you guys about our very special sponsor for this week's episode. If you follow us on Instagram, you may have already seen it's Mangrove Outfitters. Okay, so go over to mangroveoutfitters.com, get the best fishing gear, all sorts of cool gear, Patagonia Sims, all that stuff. Okay, it's great. Right now they're doing the small business strong free shipping, okay, for everything. I know it's a tough time down there. My buddy Captain Paul, we reached out to each other, said, hey, we can't open the shop, but the online store is open. And I said, man, let's get together, put you on the podcast. That stuff is awesome. My wife and I just ordered a bunch of stuff, shirts, hats. It's great. They make their living by taking people out on fishing trips and selling cool fishing shit, okay? And they can't do that right now except for online. So we're, people helping people. Go to mangroveoutfitters.com, pick you up some sweet swag, and you'll get free shipping. Right now is a great time to help out small businesses. And so they're our sponsor this week, mangroveoutfitters.com. Okay, so Joey Mellon, Brother Water.
What?
What? Brother Water?
Mellon.
Okay.
I don't get it.
Watermelon. Joey Mellon.
Oh, yeah, you're not as funny as me.
Guys.
Yeah, you're not as funny as me.
So anyway, the best part about this guy, okay, we'll cut to the chase. He wrote a book called Borehole. It's his efforts to get permanently high by drilling a hole in his head. He started by using a corkscrew. Can you imagine that? A corkscrew.
Oof.
I think you got
Ladies and
confused with the
gentlemen.
wine bottle.
Yeah. You could just get drunk or you could drill a hole in your head.
Oh,
So then he had to call his buddy Bart, okay?
Bart.
Come on and show me how to do it because Bart had already done
He
it.
said, eat my shorts.
Hey, Bart, come on over here. Put a hole in my head, brother. And never mind. I was going to make
A glory hole joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very.
Okay, so let's skip ahead.
Amanda.
Joey kind of is boring. Amanda Fielding. So she is a hippie's wet dream. Okay, let's just say she was a friend and follower of Bart Hughes. Okay, she ran for parliament. So she's from England. She ran for British Parliament several times, twice in fact, 1979 and 1983. Her platform was Trepanation for
Oh
the
my
national health.
God.
That was her platform. She ran for office.
Wow.
Under a Trepanation platform.
What's your name?
She's awesome. So picture I'll put up here on quackerypodcast.com. She is in basically the hippiest of hippie clothes with a little pigeon on her shoulder. And she's got like the headband. She's got the kimono.
Very interesting.
She looks awesome, right?
Yeah, I like the colors.
She's got, okay. So she was an advocate for, of course, LSD, for creativity, and a lot of other drugs she was actually an advocate for. So she must have had some quiche. She must have had some cash. Because if she was just some poor bloke in foggy London town, then she probably wouldn't be interesting. But if you got cash and ideas like this, then,
She ran for office. So
as we've seen, she ran for office. She's got to have some cash, like Bloomberg spending $500 million on his political campaign.
That's it.
John, talking about the pyramids, she got married under a pyramid to an earl. So I guess technically she's royalty.
To Earl? Who's Earl?
Not a guy. You see My Name is Earl, that show?
Well, what is an Earl?
An Earl. So Heather, you're a person of great British
Hold on real quick. Let me pull up
Parliament,
Google.
British royalty acumen.
What the hell's an
So there's
Earl?
Meghan Markle, and then there's Earl Markle.
There's
I have
Steve
no idea what
Urkel.
And
you guys talking
then there's Steve Urkel.
Steve Urkel.
When I do my...
So guys,
This
an
episode's
Earl
so off track. I
is
love
a
it.
British nobleman.
Yeah.
Ranking above a viscount, if I've said that correctly, and below a marquess.
Now, does a viscount get a discount if they go to a local
Yeah.
grocer?
Say what?
Okay, so I believe so. When I usually
A
hear,
royalty of some sort.
it's similar
Move
to a
on.
duke, an earl,
Duke of Earl.
Duke of Earl,
Right.
Earl, Duke of Earl. Yeah. So anyway, she married one of those. So I guess she would technically be royalty. So she made a video in the 70s where she drills a hole in her own forehead and put it on video. Now, it was on YouTube, but it's been taken down. You can't find it. I was so mad because I wanted to watch this damn video.
I bet John can find it. He can find anything.
He's a dark webby.
I can find it.
And web it.
He can find
Dude, you can find anything with a Tor browser, bro.
Find this video. I don't care how much it costs. Okay. Now, I have an interesting thought for you here. We're gonna go back a little bit. Have you ever read Flowers for Algernon?
No,
Yes.
I read nonfiction.
You gotta read this book.
It's very good.
Dude, I don't read
Okay.
fiction.
Quick recap. I love this. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So Charlie is a mentally challenged young man who has a very low IQ. So in the book, which is, I think, from the 50s or 60s anyway, he gets an operation on his brain. It's a theoretical operation based in the story where they're going to try to improve his IQ. By the end of the book, he's smarter than any other person on earth. Every day his IQ gets better and better and better until eventually the surgery starts to revert and he goes back to being simple-minded. But it's like, I love the way they describe, like, each day, it's basically, he writes his journal and it's like how he gets smarter. Terrific book. Daniel Keyes, one of my favorites of all time. Heather actually has a late great uncle who was named Algernon, which I just adore that name. I love the book. Check it out. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because they don't explain the operation. But was it trepanation? Did they just drill a hole in Charlie's head?
Hell no. It's
Yeah, but that
fiction.
doesn't-
Hell no.
that
You
doesn't-
don't know. It's a fiction book.
How I know everything.
I can interpret it
Like, how would someone get smarter if they drew a hole in your head? It doesn't make any
because
sense.
there's more brain blood volume.
Nah. Just sounds like a great way to get an infection.
Yeah.
Or die.
Now, that's not the only popular culture reference.
brain jacked.
There's a movie called Brain Jacked. Later this summer, the summer of 2003, in a world where a man has migraines, he drills a hole in his head. The doctors won't do it. He has to take matters into his own hands. In a world where he drills a hole in his head, Tristan not only realizes the true potential of his mind, but also gains access to a clandestine home for runaways who've drilled holes in their heads known as the Garden. But just when it looks like Tristan is on the path to enlightenment, he's plunged into a terrifying world of eternal darkness. Anyway, this is shitty.
I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, so I watched the...
Oh, you watched it?
No, I didn't watch the whole movie because after I watched the trailer, I was like, I think I've seen all I need to see. It's clearly like a D-rated skin flick about trepanation.
What's a skin flick?
There's lots of sex.
Oh, yes.
In the preview, there's sex. You go look at Brain Jack preview. Look, it says, from the producers of Herschel Gordon Lewis's The Uh-Oh Show.
Seems like a great Friday night for
Anyway,
me.
yeah, there's we'll put it up on quackerypodcast.com.
Yeah.
There's like a guy holding a drill.
We'll put it
But
on
it's basically
Quack
like,
It podcast. Quack It Off podcast. Wait.
Quack it off? Is it going to be the X-rated version of our site? Oh my God, it's awesome. But anyway, yeah, so there's a shitty movie about, the conspiracy, basically, where a guy drills a hole in his head for his migraines and he finds out, oh my God, I've unlocked, basically the pill on Limitless.
So
right?
are you saying this whole conspiracy is if you drill a hole in your head, you'll be smarter?
Mm-hmm. Smarter, enlightened, you'll be high you'll feel like you're high all the time. I'm not trying to say that. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
brother.
that's just like hallucinations.
Maybe you need to wake up.
Well, it just seems like so goofy. Like, ugh. Why would you want to feel that way all the time?
Smart.
Well, why didn't they do more than 10%? If all
It's
the
terrible being the smartest
Inca-ass-
person in the room.
The Incans,
Listen, you don't ask questions that you're not prepared for the answers for. Okay, when the answers are ready for you, then you'll be ready for the solutions.
But you know what's weird is like with Bart saying that you go back to like a 14-year-old because like when you really think about
terrible in school.
No, but like when you think about the
14.
time concept, like the older you get, the greater sense of time that you have, and it goes faster. So like it's almost like
You can slow down the clock. So Amanda Fielding, I believe, is still alive. I think I just watched an interview with her from a couple years ago, and I mean she's just as kooky as ever, but she's alive, and she drilled a hole in her head. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do not believe that drilling a hole in your head will get you high or make you smarter. Don't do it. It's not safe. You can damage your brain.
Wait, you can get this done?
No, all these people did it to themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. But the conspiracy is that there's a community out there, and actually their website got shut down recently. It was trepan.com or something like that. And it was a website all about how to do it, the benefits, all these things. They shut it down temporarily, hopefully permanently. But basically they were saying that the government doesn't want you to know that because obviously we're wanting a world of sheeple, right? Nobody wants the population to be too smart.
Yeah, but the government, it's not gonna just make you really smart. That doesn't make any sense. You can get more oxygen to your brain. What doesn't?
I mean, it makes more sense than some things, but it's still terrible.
I mean, if anything, you're an idiot for drilling a fucking hole in your head.
But I mean, the fact that all those people lived, pretty interesting.
What the fuck?
That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing as like, oh, let me cut my legs off because that means I'll have more blood to my brain type of shit. You know?
Yeah, but then you got less, body blood volume. So there you go.
I know, but it's just...
There you go. More for your brain.
You know what's so funny is, like, I think that there's, like, 2 men who did this. Like, usually men are trying to get blood to other areas of their body, not their head.
Yeah.
Another head is what you're saying.
I cut a hole in my penis.
Will that provide more blood? Have you guys ever heard... I mean, we always talked about this when we were 14, surprisingly.
Yeah, and 33. Yeah, go ahead.
From
34 now. I'm 34.
From 14 to for the last 20 years, yeah. That the worst way to die would be what was it we used to say? They tie you up and they put razor blades all around your dong, and then they would have naked ladies dance around you, and then every time you get erect, then it cuts your dicky, and then blood goes out of your boner until it goes down, and then it happens again and again, and you bleed to death from 1,000 slow cuts to your cock. That'd be the best way to go out.
You know, someone that, like a gay person, be like, haha, motherfuckers. I don't know, that's stupid.
Immune. Pew, 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 pew. Can't touch me. Did you have anything to add or any questions for me?
Yeah, so would you ever drill a hole in your head?
Gosh, when I was doing this research, I really thought about it, but I'd rather get the pill on Limitless.
Ooh.
I'm taking that pill. It's not really working. The modafinil.
But it's not really that.
It just makes me not sleep ever.
If you watch Limitless, they say, I wasn't wired, I wasn't jittery, I wasn't just clear, just focused, just be like, man, that
Dude.
Every book about that, like Flowers for Algernon's like that, and Limitless is like that. It's about the evolution and like improving your mind and like basically taking the top off of your limits or drilling a hole in your skull and letting the limits loose.
I have a question.
Maybe I ought to write a book about trepanation and like getting smart.
How did they survive like drilling these holes in their head? Because it doesn't sound like they were using medical grade equipment like sterilized. I mean, if you drill a hole with any type of bacteria into your head, I think you're probably gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know. I'd love to watch the video because like I almost am skeptical that they didn't go all the way through, their
like they
skull.
just went through their skin or something.
Like, yeah, like they go through your skin. I mean, gosh, your skull is just right there. Like, I mean, if you feel your forehead or really most parts of your skull, except for sort of your temples and things like that, like there's it's just skin and then a bone. You guys like X-Men movies?
Yeah.
You remember that one? You know what?
I don't watch that shit.
It's so good, John. Come on.
Sometimes.
Dude, are you serious? You buy into that fucking superhero shit? That is what's wrong with America.
X-Men 2, Wolverine gets shot in the forehead with a bullet. He's got adamantium skull, but the bullet goes all the way in. Now, granted, in reality, it could have smooshed, but it goes into his skull. It disappears. First off, there is not even a half an inch of flesh in between your forehead and your skull. So he gets shot in the forehead, the bullet's not there, and then all of a sudden he's healing up because he always heals, and the bullet just gets spit out perfectly whole.
Wait, so number one, is antimonium even an element?
Adamantium? And yes, it's from planet... You need to watch X-Men.
That's why I don't, because it's all fucking quackery.
It's from the same place as vibranium, probably, okay?
Vibranium.
But like one other question. So drilling a hole in your head. So what about your eyes? Like, I know we are in a closed system, but like essentially your skull has the open sockets.
Yeah, that's how people would do a lobotomy is they go through your nose and then that's how they do that.
That's like open, like.
Yeah, but I mean, your eyes aren't connected to your brain. Like,
No, but behind your eyes.
I guess that's true.
Well, where would they?
Damn, you just completely blew my theory. Never mind. I'm not going to drill a hole in my head. I'm going to drill a hole in my eye.
Is there looking at all these skulls? Is there a specific position in the brain in the skull that they drilled a hole?
looks like they're
So
going straight to their
these modern morons all did their forehead.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
there's
was
no
thinking,
proof. Like, I mean,
frontal
obviously from the old. So if you remember from last week, we talked about this historically, which it made more sense when people didn't understand brains or brain conditions.
We still don't
or
understand
migraines.
brains.
We don't. That is 100% right. That's why when you open up the brain, you'll understand it.
Because we only really use a certain percentage of our brain.
No,
Now,
I don't.
I think
that
that's
is-
a conspiracy.
That
actually.
is the most bullshit. Everyone's like, "Oh, Einstein uses 100%." We all use 100%. We just all don't use it at the same time.
Actively.
Different positions of different lobes of the brain. Excuse me. Different
i.e.
sections of the brain.
Paul
use,
Broca's area.
Right. So you'll use like the front of your brain for maybe
We
I
have
don't
to
know
use it for
navigation
this.
or whatever, and then you know what I'm saying.
For
Yeah.
communication.
You use 100%. You just don't all use it at the same time. I don't
I
know
love
who
that you
came up
brought
with
that
that
up.
fucking thing.
That theory.
Well, it's in
Yeah.
Tommy Boy. You know, let's say humans use 10% of their brain.
Which
How
is
much you use?
bullshit.
1.5%.
Well, it is interesting because like there's like
Yeah.
a limited scope of to like certain people can
You
only use
use
certain
all
amount.
your brain
Because like Bill Gates is like unbelievable. I mean, he has this his brain is literally a computer.
Have you ever watched those videos of him reading? His eyes are going like done. It's just so weird.
I don't know. I do.
His brain is working differently than ours, I think. Instead of that, his brain is using more. I don't know. Maybe he drilled a hole in his head.
He reads a lot.
Maybe that may be the only thing I can say.
You should subscribe to his reading list. I've read a lot of books recommended by him. Like,
Are there any like funny ones? Like
no, it's all nonfiction.
Like Porky's the novel. How awesome would it be if Bill Gates' reading list was Porky's the novel?
Was
Kind of like I actually. Here's something that's stupid. You guys may
what's
love
that
this.
one book that guy wrote? Borehole.
God, how
Sounds
great
like
would it be
Horror
if you read Glory Hole?
Glory.
If this episode really quacked you up and you'd like to support the crew, please head over to quackery.com/join and become an official quackhead.
Quackery podcast, dude.
Fuck, I fucked that up again. Cut. Why don't you do
If
it?
this episode really quacked you all up and you want to support the crew, please head over to quackerypodcast.com/join to become an official quackhead. Make sure and hit that subscribe button and follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Insta. Tell your friends. As always, keep calm, quack on.
Yeah, I
Uh-oh,
wouldn't
here
consider-
you're sitting in the room with one of them.
I
guess.
wouldn't- no, I
Thank
wouldn't-
God, once we do an episode on vaccines, John's going to get
do
woke.
an episode on the superbug. That's my concern, man. And
The
it
corona
should be
superbug?
everyone. Mr. Chromebook over there. Fucking pharmacists can't even
Christ.
afford a real computer.
I don't have virus protection on this thing. I don't.
Is this a Chromebook?
Listen, okay, we're trying to make enough money. Go to quackerypodcast.com/join and buy me a new computer. If John's so fancy with his
fucking
Apple,
buy
I don't
a
even know
damn
how to use it. Where else can you get perfect dimensions? Although it would be spherical,
Well,
I
you
guess,
can get
in
them right
space.
here.
Oh,
Speaking of space,
he's pointing to his
one conspiracy
gun
theory
show.
that's so fun. The first man on the moon, the flag.
Oh God,
That's a great one.
So I was
come
gonna say,
on.
first off, I gave a speech in college about the moon landing being fake, and I went through all the
You
evidence.
gotta be out of your mind. There were 500,000 physicists and people working to get us to the moon. We
Do
would
you mean
have
500,000
No.
movie directors from Hollywood?
It would have been harder to fake the moon landing than to actually go in there in the first place.
Que bono! Que bono!
And we had
Who
the
benefits?
technology back
Who
then.
benefits? I love it. I love it.